welcoming to the best show today, the amazing Haley Joel Osment. How are you doing?
Hey, how's it going, man? Good to see you.
Yeah. Look at those congas in the background.
I am in the conga room. Yes.
Okay. What are you going to be playing on Kokomo with the Beach Boys instead of
Exactly. Yeah.
John Stamos?
I was just in a little bit of an argument with my friend the other night about whether that was their only number one single or their last one. They only had 4.
Let me see if I can do. Hold on. Let me see if I can do.
Yeah.
Good Vibrations was number one. Was a number one single. I think Surfin' USA was a number one single. Kokomo was a number one single. I don't know which the fourth one would have been. I don't know.
Was it I Get Around?
It could be I Get Around. I Get Around. Yes, that makes perfect sense.
But it's crazy because Kokomo is like 1988, I think. So way later than the heyday.
They had gone through a fair amount by that point. It's singing about and Kokomo has like 7 songwriters on it too. If you look at the song credits for Kokomo, it is nuts. It is here. Now I got to look up the Kokomo song. Okay, hold on. This is for you and I need to both know this. Songwriters. Let's see. What do we have here? John Phillips, Papa John, the maniac, who is probably in hell right now. Scott McKenzie, who did When You're Going to San Francisco. He wrote that. And then Mike Love and Terry Melcher, Doris Day's son, who Charles Manson was after. It's a real
That's right.
real great lineup there with the songwriters of Kokomo. We have a guy who is in hell right now, the guy who did When You're Going to San Francisco, Mike Love, the nicest beach boy, and someone that Charles Manson couldn't wait to get his mitts on.
Mike Love with the least aggressive Hall of Fame induction speech of all time. Right?
Oh my, that is one of the all-timers when he's just like, I'd like to see Mick Jagger get up here and do. It's just like, all right, calm down.
Bob Dylan, you're a coward. Yeah. I was like, why?
Like what a sore winner. Like you're winning. Like that is so weird sometimes when people are in their moment of grace and they choose to just like, all the small stuff's coming out now. But this is I've been waiting for this opportunity. I'm just gonna even some scores right now. Like when Michael Jordan got into the Basketball Hall of Fame and then he's just like picking on like people who wronged him and other players. You're just like, man, you can't let it go. At what point do you let it go? Like that guy must be so unhappy, Michael Jordan, because like he conditioned himself to be a winning machine, and then there's like what's he winning now? There's no more games to win.
No more mountains to climb. Yeah. In that documentary, which I remember being the only thing on television in that part of 2020, seemed they were very good to rush that. I think it was supposed to come out like 6 months later, and it's like, nope, everybody needs a 10-hour documentary right now.
Exactly. We have a captive audience. Let's So when they put that out, it was that and Tiger King were the 2 things that everybody was watching at the same time.
That's right.
And as they baked their sourdough bread and did jigsaw puzzle. I never want to do another jigsaw puzzle as long as I live, Haley Joel.
Yeah. I was doing Legos at one point, growing tomatoes, ran through, and that was just like the first month. Then I was like, all right, now what do I do for the next year and a half?
Yeah, exactly. It was just like, well, I remember somebody said to me, I think this thing's going to last like 3 weeks. And it was like, you're insane. 3 weeks? There's no way this thing doesn't go 3 weeks. And it's like, well, they were right. I was right. It didn't go 3 weeks. It went much longer than 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Now, you are in a movie that's called Not an Artist.
That's correct.
And this movie... What is this? Is it out now? I that's the one piece of the puzzle I don't have in my head.
Yes, streaming everywhere on all of your streaming services. And I guess this movie is the answer to what I did do during the pandemic because Alexi Pappas and Jeremy Teicher, who were the directors and came up with the story for it. They adapted it to be shot in this summer camp, basically in the San Bernardino Mountains, so we could all shoot outdoors in early 2021 during the depths of the pandemic and maintain protocol and everything.
Sure.
And it's a completely improvised movie. There is a story structure, but all the scenes are improvised between all the actors. And it's Matt Walsh, the RZA, myself, Robert Schwartzman, a huge ensemble cast of great actors, and we had a really good time making it.
It's a great cast, and it's a really interesting concept. The idea of exploring a human's relationship to art, and when you go to make these things, and you go to because basically, in a nutshell, the movie is about the artists are attending this camp, and the RZA is the abbot, who's the wizened leader of this whole thing, and you need to make your art, but you can tap out, but you have to admit that you're not an artist, and you will never make art again, and if you do, you will end up in court, in civil court. But it is just such an interesting thing to sometimes it's hard for people to admit they're an artist, and sometimes people who might not be artists are the first ones to say they are artists. And how has your relationship to your art changed over the years? Because you obviously got a very early start.
Yeah, it's luckily for me, it's been one of the few consistent things about the industry that I work in, because there's a lot of unpredictability, geographically, with where you don't know where you're going to be living and working most of the time, and just how quickly projects can come and go. So I guess I've really what's sustained me over 3 decades now is just I like showing up and doing my job and going to work every day, and the nuts and bolts of acting and developing a character are still just as fun for me now as they were when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. Obviously, when I was starting at 4 years old, I didn't have a complete understanding of everything. But that's what's great about the arts, is that you can be 90 years old and still working on an instrument or painting or acting and still be learning new things about it. And that's what makes it so interesting for me all these years later.
Yeah, it's just amazing that you have seen so many things come and go in terms of while growing into it. That's the other part. It's you're not doing it in a vacuum. You were a little itty bitty kid, and then you had to go go through puberty like everybody else. They're doing it in the privacy of their own house. You were doing it in front of everybody.
Yeah. Yep.
And how do you maintain any sort of because look, everybody likes you. That's the thing. Everybody knows you. Everybody likes you. One of the most beloved people I've ever heard anybody talk about. It's the nice people. Weird Al, Haley Joel Osment, the two nicest people going. So,
and we worked together once. We did Comedy Bang Bang together. So we're 1 degree separation. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you feel because I know a few people who acted when they were kids, and some couldn't wait. At a point they were just hey, I don't want to act. I want to be behind the scenes. I want to write. I want to direct. Other people were just hey, I never want to do any of this again. I just want to go to school. And that was a chapter, but I'm going to start a new chapter. How have you your relation to it in that regard? Did you feel you ever had less of a life than you wanted because the career was too dominant?
No, and I kind of put myself to the test by going to college and not really working in LA for a number of years when I was at NYU. Mm-hmm. Studying theater. I was at the experimental theater wing while I was there, but it was really just to sort of separate myself out from what I was used to and to see if that really was the job I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I've always had interest in directing and producing and writing, and even though there's been some act of God obstacles to all of that with the pandemic and the strike over the last couple of years, and now LA is going through a brand new crisis recently. That still is something that is very much a goal and a dream for me, but never at the expense of being in front of the camera, because I think one of the things I could best bring to being a director was understanding what it's like to be on the other side. And I've worked with a lot of actor directors, and I think that most recently with Zoe Kravitz on Blink twice. Mm-hmm. And I know that her being such an experienced and good actor fed into how great she was working with us as a director.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody who's in this field needs to at some point put the other person's hat on, just so you have some perspective on. I know when I started directing stuff, because I started as a writer, and that's still how I would, I guess, identify my career. But when I started to direct stuff, even just small stuff, it changed my approach to writing in very specific ways, where it's just like you can start to make the moves in terms of keeping things tight and focused at that point, because you just don't. Like, there's always those writers who just drop a thing that's 5 inches thick and go like, I don't want to change a word of this. It's all perfect. It's like, I guarantee it's not, it's not perfect, because none of this stuff is perfect.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the collaboration is really what makes it so fun, and what keeps you on your toes. And one of the things that was a big thing people were arguing for in the strikes was having writers be on set for all of these shows, because that's such a valuable relationship for people to develop, is to have the whole team there, and to how to learn how to work with actors, and to produce those scenes, and to see how those changes happen as you run into those obstacles. It's just such an important thing to maintain. Yeah.
Absolutely. What was it like working with the RZA, which is one of the all-time most interesting people ever, and you got to do something with him? What was that like?
Yes, I love the Wu-Tang Clan. I love the RZA's work across his many projects and the things that he's produced. I saw the Wu-Tang Clan many times when I was a teenager and in college and beyond, at big festivals, and occasionally one time in Amsterdam, I saw them at this like 200-seat little theater, which was a crazy experience, seeing all of them in such close quarters. But it was amazing. And he's the Abbot in this movie, and he's dressed in these great robes, and we're way out in the this not redwood, but this forest north of Los Angeles, and just to see him like striding between the trees, like in his dojo and everything, it was just kind of perfect. And he loves comedy, and really likes working in that space, and was just so fun to work with, and to do it in improvised scenes where he would go on these monologues. And I think there's few people in the world who are as good as him at speaking extemporaneously and coming up with stuff on the spot. So it was, for a fan like me, it was very, very cool. And I when I saw the poster, I texted Alexi, and I was like, thank you for putting me in the box next to the RZA, the poster. Yeah. That will mean a lot to me forever.
Yeah, no, that's wild, because he is just like, it's like his energy precedes him. Like, you just like, a guy like that walks in, everybody knows who he is, everybody knows what he did. And then for him to just be a person is kind of feels like it's like a magic trick or something.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, truly like a larger than life person, where I've worked with a lot of actors and actors I admire, and I don't really get starstruck with that. But with musicians and figures like the RZA, that's when you're like, wow, because that's a totally different relationship, to where like I've listened to your music for decades, and now we're here doing a scene together.
That's amazing. Let's to stay in the arena of hip hop. All the Kendrick Lamar stuff. What was that like to hear your name like kind of more than once, right? Like there were multiple references to you in the Kendrick Drake feud from the Kendrick side. He because he mentioned, he kind of blurred your name with Joel Osteen.
Yeah, and then like the lyric scholars were sort of dissecting whether it was a mistake or whether it was an intentional blending of me and Joel Osteen's name. But I was in Dublin shooting that show Wednesday, and in the middle of the night just got like 100 texts of people, and it was very hard to figure out what even had happened at first. It's like I was like, "Was somebody mad at me, or what happened?" And then like to be a small part of that event, and then for it to be such a cool album, and for him to win all those Grammys yesterday. I'm a big Kendrick fan. That was really cool.
I would
to be a part of.
I'd hope he'd give you one of those 5 Grammys. You should
it's only fair.
You should just hit him up. Come on, you got 4 now.
Yeah.
Now that is just mind blowing. The idea that you are just this guy's the premier lyricist on earth right now. And he's pulling you multiple times in the course of this rap battle. That's just truly mind blowing, and it feels like it must just be yet another like weird, amazing thing in a weird, amazing life that you've had.
It truly is. Yeah, there's still lots of things that can surprise me about what it's like to have been around for this long.
Now, I'm going to ask you about a couple people. Just give me thoughts, any story, whatever. Bridie Elliott.
Oh man, Bridie is a very close friend of mine. She found the dog that is out of frame behind me. This stray dog that she named Dorothy, which I ended up adopting 2 years ago. So we have that connection. But she wrote and directed a film called Clara's Ghost in 2017 that we went to Sundance with. And it's basically her real family and me shooting at their real house at the time in Old Saybrook in Connecticut. And I play like a local loser pot dealer who sort of like does odd jobs around their house and gets sort of swept into their family drama. But I've gotten to work with pretty much her entire family. I worked with Abby on Sex Ed, and then all of them in that movie. And then I just worked with Chris Elliott on a film called Love, Love, which was written by Abby's husband, Bill Kennedy. And we just finished shooting a couple weeks ago. So that should be out, hopefully hitting festivals this year.
That's amazing. Now that's, Chris is one of my all-time heroes. I'll throw the word hero out. Why not?
Absolutely.
Loved him forever. And then it just him being so nice to me in real life has been just like, I almost can't believe it that he's actually remembers my name and answers me when I ask him a question. And no, he's just, and Clara's Ghost was really great. And wow, what an intense movie though, because it is like, it's the Elliott family kind of laying some version of their actual real life dramas out into this scripted story. What is it like to step into a family dynamic like that? Because it was all 4 of them. Because it was Lori also, right? Lori?
It was Paula.
Paula. Sorry.
But it was surprisingly, at least for me, a relaxed experience because it's a very complex movie about all of these inter-family anxieties and the drama happening there. But we had a great time shooting at their house with a lot of people, this team that Bridie and I have worked with repeatedly now behind the camera too. And I just love hanging out with the Elliots, and I got to be kind of the audience's eye in that movie of just sort of, I love that it's a very 70s. She shot it in a very cool 70s way and edited and filmed it in a way that's very much of these 70s dramas where, you kind of get swept up into these, these characters, tangled webs and everything. And I just love doing it. Great soundtrack too. She had that, was it that Richard Harris song with the cake out in the rain? What is that?
MacArthur Park.
MacArthur Park. Yeah. Yeah, we had a little dance sequence to that. Yeah.
Then I think maybe Bridie can sue Beetlejuice 2 then, because they also had a dance number to MacArthur Park.
Really?
Yes.
That is interesting.
I think you might be on the stand soon. So
I love getting into music. I'm in all kinds of music scandals these days.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. You really are. Who knew you were the hub of music scandals in 2025? Now, a couple other people. I was asked to ask you about an encounter with Timothy Chalamet.
Yes, I wonder who has heard this story. He's great. I love his performances. Very nice person too. I ran into him in a upscale group porta potty at the Independent Spirit Awards in 2018. So it's like the nice little trailer, but it's still kind of close quarters. And we're both walking away from the urinals, and it was like, oh, hey, hi. Like, but we're yet to wash our hands. So we had this kind of thing of like, oh, I'm going to shake your hand, but not shake your hand. And he goes, we're so vulnerable when we excrete, aren't we? And I was like, thank you. Thank you for a great quote.
Yeah, that actually, I guess he was getting ready to play Bob Dylan at that point with that. That's
yeah, he was. He was already in getting into character.
Yeah, we're so vulnerable when we excrete, right, man? And it's just like, so. Well,
that's a line from Desolation Row. I'm almost
I think so. I think it's the 14th verse. I think he says we're all vulnerable when we excrete. So what else is 2025 like for you? What's coming up?
Let's see. I know Wednesday season 2 is coming out pretty soon. I'm not sure the exact date. This has come out. There's a really cool project I got to work on at the very end of last year that I'm not allowed to announce yet, but it's going to be a pretty big event coming around the middle of the year. But yeah, just looking for the next job, hoping to see LA get back on its feet after a really brutal start to the year. But yeah, things are moving along here. It's been encouraging that it seems like everybody wants to start the long process of rebuilding and trying to boost our industry in this town because it needs it now more than ever.
No, absolutely. This is for anybody who is not in Los Angeles and hasn't been able to help out in any way. I can only say it's like, don't worry, there will be plenty of time to help out because this is not some overnight fix. This is going to be going on for a very long time. So it's going to kind of be all hands on deck for a good long while. Everybody can have their chance to pitch in on this because there's some definite work to be done here. Look, the movie's great. I really enjoyed Not an Artist, and it's so nice to finally get to say hi and talk to you. And anytime you want to come on, you just come down and I'll bring some pizza for you. You tell me what you want. We'll have
absolutely
whatever you want here.
I'd love to.
No, anytime. It was a real pleasure, and I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, man. Great talking to you.
Yeah, cool. We'll talk soon.
All righty. Okay. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Bye.